Welcome back. Former president of the Southern Taxi Association, Francisco Japierre, is calling for the stronghold held at the Uranora International Airport by the association of which he is still a member to end. Japierre says, in these times where everyone is struggling to make a living, he believes there is enough for everyone to have a slice of the pie. A member of the Southern Taxi Association, who also served as the association's president for some 6 years, recently ruffled some feathers when he sided with taxi drivers in the north of the island who took umbrage over the airport protocol guiding airport operations. On Friday, November 6th, the public relations officer of the Holiday Taxi Association, Anthony Richard, griped that northern taxi drivers are only allowed to drop off tourists at the Uranora International Airport. However, they are not allowed to pick them up. This was when Francisco Japierre chimed in, supporting the statement made by Richard. On Thursday morning, he reinforced his support for the statement, saying there is enough room for all to thrive in the sector.
We are a Christian society, and I believe caring is sharing. And hence the reason why I think, just as Southern Taxi enjoying the fruits now, I think it is only fair that all of us in a crisis should be able to benefit from whatever little that we have. And sometimes you are being misconstrued when you make certain statements, but at the end of the day, the reality is we all should be in it together.
Japierre said the Uranora Airport has long been a stronghold of the Southern Taxi Association.
Southern Taxi Association has been the association that has operated at the airport for time immemorial. I mean, I've been a past president of Southern Taxi Association. Without a doubt, I have made recommendations over the years as to how Uranora Airport should have been handled. I am not saying that Southern Taxi should not enjoy whatever is happening at the airport, but if now you practically have only the airport, or you can say generally out of the taxi pie, the airport is the main arrival point, and our other counterparts who have families in the same way. My concern is not about throwing Southern Taxi out. My concern is that everybody, because we all belong to a national taxi union, where we all should be enjoying whatever benefits that is coming out of the country.
Japierre said he is not scared of what is to come for his opinion. He said whilst he is a member of the association, he is a St. Lucian first, and so it is his duty to be considerate to his neighbors. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Rochelle Gonzalez. The back and forth criticism between two MPs in the House of Assembly on Wednesday forced the Speaker of the House to ask them to excuse themselves from Parliament. Castries South MP Dr. Ernest Hilaire and Ancillary Canaries MP Dominic Fede have made a habit of going at each other during Parliament. Member for the Micoud South and Prime Minister Alan Chastanet was delivering his rebuttal when the off-the-mic comments made from other members of Parliament became heated and disruptive. The Prime Minister was touting the resilience and growth of St. Lucia's tourism industry when Castries South MP Dr. Ernest Hilaire interjected. Ancillary Canaries MP and Tourism Minister Dominic Fede soon joined in.
In terms of returning of tourism, the numbers are there to speak for themselves, Mr. Speaker. You see, the truth comes out, Mr. Speaker. The member from Castries South said that numbers are up everywhere. So on one side of their party, they're saying it's doom and gloom, and another side that there is some sobering ideas that they can grow. But you know, Mr. Speaker, while they fight with ideas and concepts on the other side, this party will continue.
Honourable members.
This party will continue working.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Member for Ancillary and member for Castries South. You could please step outside for the next few minutes. Castries South. Member for Ancillary and member for Castries South. Please step outside for the next few minutes, please. Just please step outside for the next few minutes. Member for Ansel Canada, member for Patrick. Yeah, just go on. Members, just relax.
The antics of members of parliament have often come under much criticism from observers who say they lack decorum benefiting elected officials. In other news, during its meeting to celebrate its 59th anniversary, the Employers' Federation indicated that various sections of the Labour Act will be discussed with the Minister for Labour, Stephenson King. The executive director says given the situation that COVID-19 has presented, there are new provisions that should and will be considered.
The Labour Code has been a contentious issue for both employers and employees during the COVID-19 pandemic. During its 59th annual general meeting, the executive director of the St. Lucia Employers Federation, Goretti Paul, explained that the trade union is looking to spark a conversation with the Minister for Labour and other officials on the need for amendments and clarity on certain parts of the Labour Code. Paul says, while this issue has been a long outstanding one, COVID-19 has presented an opportunity for these changes to be enacted.
We have provided a list of areas within the code that we would like to have reviewed. One of them is section 140, that's at the top of my mind. We have some other areas, for example, definitions within the code that we would like clarity on because they provide ambiguity. There's a difference in understanding on the part of the employees representatives and employers. So various sections of the code we feel that not enough clarity is provided. We have submitted our list of concerns to the Department of Labour for consideration, and the conversations are ongoing. A tripartite committee has been set up by the Department of Labour, and we have been having discussions about those amended changes.
She explained that with the advent of COVID-19, new clauses need to be created and others need to be amended.
Remote work, as an example. Remote working is not included anywhere within our labour code. So there's no provision made for persons who are required to work remotely. And one of the things that we've raised in the past is the issue of liability. When somebody is working remotely and, maybe they said, well, I have been using the dining room chair to work and so now I have back problems. Who's responsible for that? Or if they slip and fall, or they get injured at work during working hours, but they're working in their home, what are the dynamics that need to be considered? So stuff like that. We don't have the specific answer, but what we're saying is we need to start talking about it.
The executive director says, with all the challenges that employers have had to face and overcome, the Federation is looking to lead the movement for meaningful change. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
COVID-19 has changed the majority of St. Lucia's operations. With the increase in cases being seen, the executive director of the St. Lucia Manufacturers Association says manufacturers are simply refining their processes to continue delivering the products they have. She says the majority of the businesses which the SMA represents have not necessarily had to close down, but rather scale back due to the implications of the virus on the economy.
One would recall that at the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, many were fearful that there would be a case of underproduction and many worst-case scenarios such as starvation and inaccessibility to food were raised. Although St. Lucia has been hit with an unrelenting second wave of COVID-19, to date, St. Lucian manufacturers have remained on the ball and supplied the products and services needed for the island to continue navigating through this ordeal. Executive Director of the St. Lucia Manufacturers Association, Paula James, explained that while the situation affected everyone, the SMA was faced with a situation where operations had to continue almost as normal.
90% of the manufacturers did not have job loss. We only had one major manufacturer whose business was with the tourism sector, and they had to do some redundancy because there's literally no business for them. They kept some to do smaller things, so maybe about 80% of their staff was made redundant. Outside of that, the micro ones had to cut back. Instead of doing a full 5 days work, they cut back to 3. Even some of our big manufacturers have cut back to 3 days a week. So you've seen that happening in the sector, but so far we only had one person with job loss. Nobody else has really had any cut in staff. They have done rotation and cut back on the days of processing or packaging or whatever they have to do.
Calls have been made for niche markets to be sourced and for products and services to be exported to different source markets. James says, while this is a fantastic idea, a lot more has to be done in order for that to take place, particularly in a time like now. She did, however, mention that the SMA had already been looking into that prospect but were faced with challenges.
Because when you look at a niche market, you need to start to export. To start to export, you cannot stay and produce from home. That is where the problem will arise, because even our small manufacturers that are processing, most of them have turned their space into a certified area. And if they couldn't do it from their home, they could move out and rent a space and have it certified by public health. Because once you start exporting, you must have some form of certification. So that's why I said in manufacturing for us, we had that challenge long ago. We also looked at a lot of food security years gone by. So we were already stepping up a plate whereby, okay, look for alternative markets.
She says the fluidity and uniqueness of the COVID-19 situation has affected everyone. However, manufacturers have learned to simply be innovative, follow the rules, and press on with what it is that they have been called upon to do. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzalez.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. We'll be right back.